Hi, this is Mercedes, and welcome. We're going to be talking about the divine spiritual law of cause and effect, and the action or the frequency of synchronization, and how those two sort of blend together. I'm going to take my time because this one is probably one that people have heard about as the law of attraction, and I no longer use that title for this law, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But as we're moving into understanding the frequencies and how we move into a divine partnership or collaboration, just the laying into the oneness, as you really feel, as I really feel the oneness of God in my heart and throughout my body. It just, when I lay in that frequency, and I lay in the frequency of the I am, and I understand, and I feel, and I rest, and I query, and I receive, and I release the fear, release my limitations or limitedness, and move into the infinite space. The law of attraction, or the law of cause and effect, often is activated when I am in that space of just divineness, divine deliciousness. So, the reason why I'm moving away from attraction is because it is the law of cause and effect. And the effect is the consciousness that is around you, whether it's densified in some sort of material output, your home, your car, your living space, the people that are around you, changes that may be occurring that were either unexpected or surprising. All of this is a state of consciousness, but it is the effect. So when we look at Cancer, it is the effect, right? And I've just had so many conversations recently, just over the last 2 or 3 weeks, where people have said, how did I cause this? You know, I'm a good person, or I've lived all my life as a Ayurvedic yogi, natural path. How is this dense? How did this come to me? How did I cause this? And there's so much underlying shame and blame and looking for something to sort of pin it on. And so I had to sit with Spirit very quietly, because I know that some of the things that I may say today are very sensitive and may take some, you may reject them outright, and you may stimulate some thought. You may say, I never thought about it that way. So, Cancer is the effect. Cancer is the effect. So, Spirit gave me this morning this vision of a small child. And that small child was imbalanced with Cancer. And the guidance was saying, would you say that small child has been dwelling on cancer, been dwelling on illness? Children don't generally naturally gravitate to those babies, young ones, toddlers. They don't come in with that junk, They come in with an expectation of love and kindness, and depending on the womb state, there could be some things going on. But in general, babies come in with this sense of kindness, this sense of wonder, the sense of awe, the sense of looking up and releasing and not being in fear of where their next meal is going to come from. Those sorts of things in general. I mean, I know that there's some other gradations, law of polarity out there. Well, Spirit was showing me this baby, and Spirit said, how did the baby cause their cancer? I mean, how did that happen? And cancer is the effect. So what is happening in a situation like that? Well, the soul is probably getting some lessons even at that young age. But everybody who's caring for that baby, everybody who comes in contact with that baby is being affected. And when 1 + 1 = 3, so when any two come together, there's a third energy that is created. And through that third energy, something else ignites. So we're always in this constant state of vibration, the law of vibration, the law of rhythm. To everything there is a season, order and balance, polarity. All of the laws come together through this journey called cancer. So when we look at this and we say to ourselves now in our supposedly adult stage, and this was something that Spirit gave us, there's still that inner child that's having these expectations of wonder and awe. And it's like, how is this happening to me in this moment? How is this actually happening? How did I get myself into this state? What did I do to attract it? How did I cause it? And all of these other things that are going through our mind when any imbalance happens, not just cancer, but for the purpose of this conversation, cancer. So we go through this sort of shame and blame game on all gradations of the emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual spectrum. And that just is not who we are as a child of God. It's just not who we are as a child of righteousness. So it is a little different way of thinking of it. The densification of the cancer in your physical body is the effect. So now let's talk about what the cause could be. Well, I'm a former light worker. Well, I guess I am still a light worker. I've never given myself that title, but I've done energy healing, and I'm prayerful, and I live my life in a certain way. And so I'm praying, and I know a few things for myself, and maybe these are things that you can explore. Let's talk about it energetically at first. When I found the lump in my breast, for a number of different reasons, obviously I didn't run right to the doctor, and it had nothing to do with my energy practice or my spiritual practices. Actually, it was more financial than anything else. And there was nothing I could have done physically to ward off this occurrence in my body. It was almost like I was predestined for it in some way. If something was going to happen in my life where God really needed to get my attention, it was probably going to be this. And let me tell you why I say that. Because I had hormonal imbalances as a young child. I had physical disturbances in my female organs as a young child. I was taking mammograms and ultrasounds, not just mammograms and ultrasounds from the age of 22. Very, very young. So there was something going on in this physical vessel, and I came in with it. Okay. Now I know, then I didn't. There was no amount of nutrition that was going to really ward this off, because the type of breast cancer that I have is estrogen responsive. And so the things that I would have, or the drastic ways I would have had to alter my diet, nutrition, I would not have known about it. So for me to put myself through all of this blaming, what did I do to cause it? And what did I do to, here I am, an energy healer. I do this, I teach yoga. I'm in Zen most of my day. How did this happen? There was no amount of physical, nutritional things that I could have done on my own that would have warded this off. And we grew up eating extremely good food. We were financially not fluent. But my mother put us in the best neighborhood she could, and it was a pretty damn fine neighborhood, I might say. She put the best food on our table. So it wasn't like I had this sort of balance of nutritional or structural, emotional instability, and there was none of that. Okay? So now I find the lump, and I have a friend, teacher of mine, we're going to start working on it energetically, okay? And what happened in that case was I went to the seat of conception. I mean, we did work that I didn't even know was possible. I went to the point of my conception where the egg and the sperm met, and there was this the spark of divinity, and Mercedes began to develop and form. Went there, okay? We went through past lives. We went through emotional cleansings and clearings and things like that. And the thing still became stage 4 cancer. Okay? So I'm not saying that I was, it depends on your belief system, predestined for this, but there was really nothing I could have done from a cause point of view, from a practical cause point of view, that would have activated cancer in my body. Okay? Let me see if I can give you another example. Oh, the Akashic records. Yes, we can go in and then we can fiddle with the Akashic records and change it. If I have contracts or I have an understanding with other souls that I am to do this journey so that everyone around me can learn from this journey, that I became that young child, right? I am a child of God, and I am now that young messenger for the betterment of the souls that are around me, or for the lessons of the souls that are around me. And too many to even do in this short video. Just that has played out over and over and over and over again. So now we've gotten through that. What is left? My journey. Okay? So now here I am doing this video series. Here I am starting the spirituality of cancer. Here I am understanding the depth of going deeper, even though I felt that I had a spiritual practice. Here I am happy, truly, I'm going to cry, truly happy for the first time in years with stage 4 cancer residing in my body temporarily. We will still do the spiritual stuff. I am the happiest I've been, and the most carefree I've been, and the most appreciative of the sun. Oh, I just love the sun shining down and warming this bald head of mine. I love my bald head. I was known for my big red fro, and I love my bald head. I love what I look like and who I am, and how people are responding to me, because I still am a woman. I still like it when a man says you look good, and I love that, and I love the fact that I can wear asymmetrical earrings. People have commented on my asymmetrical earring and the Gyanami, which is the symbol of God in Ghana, and I love all the things that I have developed, and I am becoming as I am becoming. This has been an incredible experience. The people I've met in this group, in the Spirituality of Cancer group on Facebook, I've had a few conversations. We made some connection. I'm understanding how this is bearing and manifesting new insight, new life, new appreciation. So this cancer, as a densified effect in my body, is now the cause. You see, everything vibrates, everything rhythm is the cause of me coming into another effect, which is happiness, peace, understanding, a closer relationship with God, some travel. I've traveled 3 or 4 places. I've gone up to the mountains. I've had a tremendous receipt of love, the effect of understanding love at a much deeper way, the effect of actually receiving, because I didn't always receive, and I had to lay my butt down because I couldn't do for myself, and I had to let people bring food. I had to let people bring gifts. I had to let people love me. I had to let people organize my home. I had to let people be love for me. That is the effect of cancer being the cause of happiness and truthfulness, and a way of me looking at myself in a totally different way. So I don't look at cancer. My personal perspective is I don't look at cancer as a fight. Now, I do Qigong, yoga, and everything. I need to qualify that just a little bit. There are times when you just have to go inside and get down to the grit and come forward. But I don't resist. I do my best not to resist. What we resist persists. So I do my best not to resist, and I go in and I allow the peace to ignite the effects in my life. I allow love to ignite the effects in my life. I have become more consciously aware. We could also call it, I labeled this divine synchronicity, but I could say divine synchronicity and consciousness, because when I become more aware of the effects that are in front of me, then I am aware of the consciousness that is around me. I'll give you a quick story. I have a brown thumb. I did not inherit my Jamaican mother's green thumb. I mean, she could grow carrots and herb gardens on patios and everything. My sister's the same way. I did not get it. I did not have that. I pray over the plants I bring home. I bring home the smallest little plants so I can have something alive in my house. And right now, I bought some plants a few months ago, and they are thriving. This is the first time in my life that I have bountiful, beautiful, thriving plants. I mean, they've grown from this big to this big, or this big in one case, and sprouts and things. It's the consciousness of living. It's the consciousness of living. It's my vibratory frequency. I still have to water them and care for them, but it's giving me something outside of myself, and quite frankly, outside of this cancer, to be taken care of and to bring in a consciousness of living. That is the effect. The effect is, look at these beautiful plants. So we become more as we become more consciously aware. That is the effect. And so this law of attraction, when we use the law of attraction, is kind of one-sided. The equation's not complete. The equation, when we're thinking about it from that perspective, the equation's not complete. You need to be aware of both sides of that. And then on the other side, the equal sign is what is the manifestation? What is the actual physical manifestation that you're reaping? Okay? So if this is the only way, and I'm not going to give you all those stories in my life to say, I got the lesson this time and ignored it, or didn't keep it, or didn't bring it into my being. We've all done, we know these things. I'm not going to give you all of those stories. But cancer's made me pay attention to my happiness quotient, to how I'm taking care of myself quotient, to how am I loving myself quotient, to what am I having consciously around me. Somebody who's half-stepping and hee-hee-heeing, and, I had a whole bunch of people on the death march, I called it, when I first got diagnosed. We've got to see you, Mercedes. No, you can't see me right now. Well, I don't understand, because you think I'm dying. I don't want that consciousness around me. If you can come with a consciousness of health and healing, appreciation, gratitude or gratefulness, an attitude of abundance, whatever we have in that moment is going to be enough. Everything that I need is going to be here. Then you can come visit me. I narrowed that. I narrowed that circle. That circle was like whoosh, and then I got my crew. And my crew and I, almost for very many months, people did not see me, because I was aware of the consciousness and what the effects that they were bringing into my space, and then what was going to be on the manifestation on the other side of that equal sign. Just think of it as an equation. Cause plus effect equals manifestation. Just that simple. So I'd like to say that only a conscious heart will allow us to move in whatever direction we choose to be in, or are manifesting for ourselves. Only a conscious heart, conscious eyes, conscious awareness, consciousness, and then the universe lines up to support us. I can't tell you how much stuff arrived right in the nick of time over the course of the last year, right in the nick of time. That's why I call this divine synchronicity. Right in the nick of time. No worry, I couldn't worry. I was just glad there was nothing for me to do. When I say I had a oxygen tube in me with a 70-foot cord because I was not supposed to be off of oxygen, Okay, so when I say, I mean humbling, get it, vulnerable, maybe even saying, maybe God put me, as I put that analogy at the beginning of this, God put me back in the womb. God put me back into a childlike state because I could not do for myself. Therefore, I had to trust and know that whatever appeared before me was absolutely synchronistic and what was supposed to be in front of me and was divine perfection in that moment. Okay, so I think that's enough for now. I think I was going to go into some other things, but I'm going to, I think, save it for now. Know that we are childlike, regardless of the age or the chronological development, that we still are a child of God. And as you move through this journey called cancer, embrace the child in you. I'm not talking about that from the egoic perspective. You know, we say, oh, the ego and the little child, and we have to. I'm talking about it from the wonder and awe and laying yourself into God, releasing the responsibility for you being the provider, protector, adult, allowing God to be the provider, protector, loving, resourceful adult, and allowing yourself this idea that we're on this vibratory sliding scale of cause and effect, and that cancer, while at one time could be the manifestation, but it can also be the cause of happiness and joy and wonder and awe and worthiness. Can you imagine when all this love and supply is coming to me, how I had to say to myself, I am worthy of this love. So cancer is not just an effect, it is also a manifestation, and it can be a cause. And when we understand that we are not stuck in the state of the effect mindset, and we are in the effect or the state of being in source, because the synchronicity and the alignment that we talked about earlier, all of the other laws and divine actions come into place. We come into alignment with that which we require. We know that if something is not right or not showing up, that God is in action, the law of vibration. We know that this imbalance can be balanced because through the law of polarity, whatever is present, there's an opposite to it. Then we have a place to go and be in our power and activate the power of that opposite frequency. We know that there is only one, so that as I look at you, as I look at my plants, as I lay down in my bed, as I see another patient, as I interact in the supermarket, as I smile at an individual, as I get into a car that is taking me somewhere, this is God in action. There is only one. There is only the manifest densification of God. There's only the manifest energy of God. There's only the manifest love of God. It is only the manifest frequency of God, only the manifest peace of God, which is the ignition. The love is the switch, is the emotional switch. And so whatever is before you, and nothing is static. Cancer can be the cause, cancer can be the effect, and cancer can be the catalyst for manifesting things like, and I'll use me as an example, happiness and joy and love and peace and appreciation and gratitude and hopefully some Christ consciousness and the new things, the new material things that have come into my life, and the new consciousness of living. So this is the culture of I can. And this is the 7th video. So as we come into understanding how all of these laws interact and interplay, and that we have the power. And this is why I say, no matter what is going on with you, an oxygen tube with a 70-foot cord attached to a 2-hour tank, that you have the ability to say, I can. You can design and develop and see for yourself in a culture of I can. And as you are laying prone, if that's where you're at, the status of your physical health right now, or as you are getting up and you say, what does living look like? And so I put those plants, and those plants are thriving. Put something in your life that you can feel that's alive, and so that you can know. I've got crystals. My crystals are alive. My plants are alive. Okay, the tree outside in my complex here is alive. Begin to connect with that consciousness of living so that you can begin to feel the consciousness of life within you, because the diagnosis is not the death march. The diagnosis is an opportunity for us to move into another frequency of awareness and of the subtleties of life and living, the subtleties of the frequencies of the God, of the Spirit, of the holiness that is within us, of our worthiness, of our empowerment. That is the frequencies of life and living, of the breath, of the breath. Can you imagine not being able to breathe through this and just being able to just sort of go? But that was enough for me to know that I had a consciousness of life still within me. And then through the power of I am, these spiritual principles and these spiritual laws are truth. They do not change. So as we move from affirmation to confirmation, I haven't talked about that from recently, as we move into an awareness of the subtle deepness of God itself and who we are as God itself, there is no separation. So we go from that frequency of affirmation, from that frequency of understanding what it's going to take to design a balancing frequency for ourselves, to the confirmation. Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you. It is done. And when we get to that point where we can actually feel the consciousness as the confirmation as a consciousness of living, things shift, change, and move. And this is a dynamic situation. So some days you may not be feeling so good. You got to lie your butt down. But that is the conscious of living, because then you're honoring yourself to be able to gather the strength, to be able to get up, to breathe, to do something else, and to be and becoming for another day, another moment, another hour, another minute, another breath. This is what God has gifted me, and I hope and pray that it has made some impact, or will make some impact, in the way that you move through this journey we call cancer. It is life. It is life. It is a different way of looking at life. It is a different way of looking at how I am, you are, we are, empowering ourselves through every precious moment that we have. Nobody is, this isn't a death sentence. I've gone through robbery at gunpoint. I've seen people who's gone home and left home, kissed their spouse, and the spouse didn't make it back home that day. We know these things. Nobody has the power of God. No doctor has the power to say you got 3 months, 2 hours, 6 months, a year. Because as you increase the consciousness of your living, you come into a peace that even if you transition into another state of energy, meaning just quite frankly die and death, that you have been born into a new effect. You've been born into a new manifestation. So I pray that I pray 6 months and a journal and understanding and becoming humble in my heart and looking at the compassion, looking at life and other people with compassion, and coming into a sense of patience, knowing that I can't make this happen and have it happen, and understanding that there is divine order to everything. God is ordered. I just gave you that example. Cause plus effect equals manifestation. Yeah? God is orderly. Okay? Use your inner being and your inner guidance. Be in discernment. And when you're not feeling well, feel the things that feel well. The pillow. Somebody bought me a new pillow. I was so grateful for that pillow. The pillow. The food. the water. Oh my God, just remembering how good a bath felt. Everybody's going to have your own journey, and you're going to have your own fears, and that's why I'm so careful to say that I am not saying that this is a cure. I'm not saying that this is the way you have to do it because I did it this way. But if you find a space within your knowing of these divine laws and principles and actions and revelations, you will come into your own personal balancing, your own personal healing, your own personal regeneration, your own personal forms of happiness, love, contentment, joy. And at any point during this journey, you can have all of those things. So I love you. As my guidance says, I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you very, very, very deeply. Take these videos and listen to them and listen to them again, and then journal and ask Spirit, what is in this for me, and go deeper. Because when you think you've got it, I can tell you from experience that there's more. There's more to mind, and there's more to cultivate. All right. That is enough for now. I'll see you soon. Namaste.